calling all mom, all women, all business owners. Hear ye, hear ye. Come on in here and have a seat. I'm Ashley White, the host of Joy on the Journey podcast, a weekly podcast all about defining, finding, and maintaining joy on the journey of life. I have promised weekly episodes with women who are making a difference in the world and making a positive impact on my life. And today is no different. I am so honored to host Ashley Willis. She is a mother, an entrepreneur who has a heart to serve other women entrepreneurs like myself through her business, SDM Online Solutions. Her mission: to empower the driven woman building their business while juggling their personal responsibilities. Who else does that sound like? Raise your hand. Yeah. At SDM, they believe that every woman entrepreneur deserves the chance to reach her full potential and to create a world where women-owned businesses not only thrive, but leave a lasting impact on their industries and communities. Ashley, we are so blessed to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much. That intro was so good.
Yay! Well, it's you, girl. It's you.
Like, oh, wait, that's me.
It absolutely is. So we start every podcast by asking guests the same question.
Okay.
How do you define joy? How does it show up in your life?
I've been sitting trying to think, and I feel like the definition might have evolved over time, right? And I feel right now, joy, when you have joy, is when you have peace, right? And so being able to get to that level is when you're able to open up that door of joy. So that's how I define it. I define joy as when you have a sense of peace. And it doesn't necessarily mean that everything around you might not be going through, because we're women and we have a lot of different hats that we wear. But in those moments, we find moments of peace so we can remain joyful and keep our joy.
Yeah. When did you come to this definition that joy is and can be peace regardless of what's happening around you?
Yes. So not as long as what you would think. And the reason why I say that is because transitioning into different roles or being able to believe in yourself a certain level, it allows for you to kind of do some inner thinking and allows for you to reflect, allows for you to lean on God, right? It allows for you to really put faith, right, where it needs to be. And so in those moments where I feel like maybe everything is kind of tightening or closing in, or, you know, my back's against the wall, I have to remember the why, right? And so when I remember the why, remember why am I doing this in the first place, it allows for me to have that peace and then to regain my joy, right? So it's not like every day we're going to have a good day, but when we are grateful, when we pray, right, when we do these things, it allows for us to have those moments of peace, so that way we can continue to be joyful. Because if we don't have that, then it kind of reflects on the people around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so the people around you, you are a wife and a mom.
Yes.
How do you ensure that you are creating a peaceful environment in the home? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, to be honest, it's a work in progress, right? And every day, every week, every month, every year is different, right? I have 3 kids, and during COVID, I was pregnant with, I call her the COVID baby, because if you know, you know. Any baby that came after COVID, they're a different breed. So, but she just turned 3, and she turned our world upside down in a good way, right? And so we have to learn that not every day is going to be perfect, but we just have to, at the end of it all, be like, okay, we made it through that day, right? Or we can end our day on a peaceful note, and then to be able to start a new day fresh, right? So it takes a lot of communication, teaching my kids to communicate a certain way, because we all get frustrated, even our children, right? This world is crazy. And when we have stress from work or entrepreneurship, in our relationships, whether in our home and outside of our home, we can tend to bring that to the people that we love unintentionally.
Yeah.
So being mindful of that and allowing for people to express their feelings when maybe we're not being our best, so that way we can correct it. And so that's what I'm learning to do more of, because I find when I do that, it releases this stuff off my shoulders, and it allows for me to be the better version of me.
That's so good. And I think it's important for you to share your lessons. Y'all listen, I've talked to Ashley a couple times, and every time on the phone she's giving me resources. I'm like, you know somebody that can do, oh yeah, let me connect. And so because you are such an empowerer of women, I want to thank you on behalf of every woman that you have helped, because you're not holding on to those gifts and those resources. You are freely giving. And so I want to thank you for serving from a spirit of humility and from a spirit of love.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
And I understand that that is the root of SDM Online Solutions. But I want to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
When did you get bit by an entrepreneur bug?
Wow. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. I think even in high school, I always had that, hustler mentality. I was like, okay, gotta make my own money. What can I do? And I also saw my mom, I feel like, or maybe my parents, I'll say, they had little different things that they were doing, and it wasn't called entrepreneurship. They didn't call it entrepreneurship. It was them making means, right? Watched my mom do different house cleanings and different jobs to make sure that we were okay. And so in hindsight, I wasn't realizing that, okay, she's hustling to get what she has to get.
Yeah.
But that's a form of entrepreneurship, right? But it's like taking that, what you're good at, and then leveling it up to make it a business. That's the difference, right? And so to answer your question, I always had a level of entrepreneurship in me since I was young. And it's funny now that I'm speaking about it, my kids are the same way. Just being able to have that in them and instill it in them at a young age, I think is important. But I remember in high school, I was doing people's hair. Yeah, girl, when I made $250 over somebody's hair in high school, I'm rich. Like, this is it. This is it.
Give me more.
Give me the money. But I always had a level of it. I didn't maybe think that it was called entrepreneurship at that time. But being able to be my own boss is something that became something that inside of me. So I've tried different things, right? I tried to do different things that maybe I had to stop because, trying to make sure I provide for my family. But this time around seems a little bit different. And so as I'm moving maybe a little bit slower, having all those lessons that I've learned, right, to be able to make a bigger impact.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. And so speaking of moving slower, I have a question.
Okay.
So as a visionary, and you spoke about this, have you had moments where what you believed for on paper took way longer than that you ever thought it would be? And if so, how did you find the courage to continue to persevere?
Ooh, man. So there's several times, even one currently. So I'm like, ooh, man, she must have been looking at my notebook. So I feel my mind is always going, right? Okay. And so a part of this gift that I have is that I'm always coming with ideas. And I love sharing my ideas to others. Like if somebody's telling me about their business, I'm like, oh, well, have you tried this? I'm like, oh, that was a missing piece that I needed, right? And so the same thing happens with me too. I'm like, oh, this can go this way and that way, right? And so I write down different things. And with my first business that I brought to the world in the online space, JTR Beauty, I had certain things, right, that I wrote down. And then, so we started with like lash extensions, right? Okay. And I knew exactly what I wanted, how I want the compact to be, how I want it to be innovative and different. And I got those things and I held on to them for months. So not only was it on paper that this is what I wanted to do, but I was afraid to sell. Yeah, it's so crazy. And when I look back on that now, I'm like, Ashley, what were you doing? Yeah. What were you doing, right? But I was in my own head. And so I feel like that sometimes we are in our own way of moving forward. So the things stay on paper. And then when we look back, we're like, girl, this should not have taken that long. Yeah. Especially when you have people that are wanting with you, right? Or cheering you on. and then your fear kind of drives you to stop, right? So even right now, I am working on something, and I've been putting that pin on it. So that's why when you said, I'm like, oh man, she got me on the hot seat. But I know that when I get out of my way, and when I have small wins that I can celebrate, I feel like it ignites me to keep moving forward. Right? But I have to search for those wins and celebrate them for me in order for me to move forward to, okay, I did that. This is not as big as it seems. Let me break it into smaller pieces, right? And so that's what I'm currently working on as we speak, right? I'm balancing gaining clients and working on them and giving them their all, but then also working on my business too, right? So how do I balance the both, and then not including all the other hats that we wear outside of that? So yeah, celebrating those small wins, looking back at that note and be like, hey, what's going on, right? So this year, so in November, I went to a conference out here in Houston, and I got a book called She Has Goals journal, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. And some of those questions similar, I was like, okay, I had to think, what do I want, right, in this quarter? What do I want by the end of the year? What do I want in the next few years? And I started writing this stuff down. And then I kind of dwindled off of it a little bit. And then recently when I went back, I'm like, some of these things have happened and are happening actively right now. And it made me feel good. Yeah. So then it makes me want to go back to it and be like, okay, let me start making myself accountable to some of these dates that I put down. And if I'm slacking in the area, got to kind of nudge myself like, Ashley, get out your own head and go do the thing, right? So, yeah.
That is so incredible. So much to unpack.
Yes.
What the biggest thing that I took away is seeking those small victories.
Yes.
To not look for, okay, step 30. You did step 1. That's a win.
Yeah, we forget about that.
Yeah. And I think so many times we overlook our own successes because we want this bright lights. We want the paper to float. And it's like, but the fact that you wrote it down, the fact that you came out of your mind, wrote it down. Yes. And I love the idea of tracking to a date.
Yeah, that's hard to do, but I've been doing it.
Yeah. So proud of you, sis.
And listen, not all of them have dates, but the ones that do.
Win.
There you go.
Win. Okay, congratulations. Celebrate. Everybody celebrate. Okay, yes. I think that's huge.
Thank you.
I also want to talk about, you believe that everyone, especially women, has a voice.
Yes.
And wanting to amplify their voice through their products, through their services. But why do you think so many women kind of shrink instead of amplifying and living boldly and seeking their dreams?
I'll speak on my own personally. Sure. I can cheer others on. I can cheer women on, right? That's no problem. I can show love. I can be joyful. Be like, girl, get out your own head. But then when I'm here sitting in my own thoughts, it's like, wait a minute, right? And so sometimes I think we mistaken being humble.
Yeah.
And also being able to have that moment where you deserve this. Like, this is meant for you, right? And so for me, I had a struggle with that where I didn't want to feel like I was coming off as bragging or pushy or salesy, right? But then I realized that as long as I am serving and I'm providing something of benefit to people, to women, then I'm doing what I love. And I can do it in my passion. And a lot of people say, oh, you're so authentic. It like, you could see it. And so being authentic allows for me to try and show up. But I still have those moments where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'll speak about others all day long. I love it. But then I also have to remember, you can do that for yourself. And it's okay.
It's absolutely
right?
Okay.
And so I believe that women sometimes forget that it's okay for us to cheer ourselves on just like we cheer others. And the benefits will come from doing so.
Yeah.
Right? And so I feel by me amplifying their voices, they get that ignited, they get ignited, they feel empowered, and they're like, girl, after that, this and this I did, and it makes me feel happy. And it makes me, oh, you do, oh, girl, let me step my game up too. So not competition, but complimenting each other and allowing us to run the same race, right? And then even if the person is in the same lane as you, we all have our own individual lane, right? And so the imposter syndrome can really
Mm-hmm.
paralyze us to don't think that we're good enough because so-and-so is doing it, or so-and-so looks very successful, but you're comparing your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 20. And so I had to learn not to do that. And I'm still, sometimes I have my moments and I'm like, Ashley, what am I doing? You know, or I'll have somebody else tell me like, girl, you're doing good. And then also accepting compliments.
Ooh. Ashley is in my business, and I don't know who gave her my journal. I don't know how this happened.
Yeah. But that's same with me, right? I have to learn to accept.
Yeah.
I can receive. There's more happiness in giving than there's receiving, but then there also is joy in receiving. And so I'm currently learning that it's okay to receive, you know, compliments, and it's okay to receive praise and sharing, just as I do to others.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is so important. And again, in my business, because I think about it every performance appraisal for me. My manager's like, okay, send me your list of accomplishments. And I'm like, so about that, I did this thing and this thing, and it happened literally 2 weeks ago. My manager's like, okay, but what about this? Oh, yeah. Okay, but what about that? I forgot about that. Okay, what about this? Okay, well, then you just write it. Because clearly you are well more aware of what I've been doing. And I'm always challenged, and he challenged me with, you are your greatest advocate.
Yes.
And if you're not willing to speak up for you, then you're depending on somebody else to do it.
Yes.
And that's not their job.
Yeah, and then also they might not do it right.
And they may not do it right.
Right, and then we might feel that, you know, feel some type of way because you're depending on other people, let's say our family or our friends, to speak about our brand, right? But really, it's our job. They can do, that's the extra sauce. That's the sprinkle on top, right? So that's, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that.
Ashley is in my business, and I don't agree. I don't like it. So recently, you have started sharing a weekly blog, I believe, tracking your movements as a mom with you and your COVID baby.
Yes.
Why was this important for you to create this type of content in this season?
So doing the season of uncomfortable, that's the season I'm in. I'm in the season of doing the uncomfortable, showing that despite of fear is still going to be there. We can still show up for ourselves. And then we can have a little fun at it too, right? And so during this time when I was transitioning from full-time work and also trying to run this side entrepreneurship journey, there was a shift that was happening at work. And so in my mind, I knew, I was like, okay, by June, I probably won't be there. So let me really start to, you know, present myself to the world as who I am and what I provide and what I can do. And so long story short, my timing of not being there was cut shorter. And so from there, I was like, to be completely transparent, in the beginning, I was disappointed. I was like, wait a minute, this is not how it's supposed to go, right? But then I was like, you know what, Ashley? There's a reason for everything. So don't dwell on it. Let's just move forward. Do it scared, because now I'm petrified. I'm more than scared. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, right? I told myself maybe June, you know, and then it happens a week before the date that I gave my last day, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to show my community how the first 30 days of entrepreneurship and what it is that I'm doing that's in my season of being uncomfortable, and what that looks like. The good, the bad, the days where I'm just like, hey, girls, haven't been on here for 3 days. This is what's been going on, because not every day is a good day.
Yeah.
And when you're able to capture it, it's kind of was therapeutic for me. I'm not going to lie. But it also held me accountable, because I know that I was showing up for these women. And so, and the feedback that I've gotten, they're like, I live for this, like, you know, and then also a lot of connections happen.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I have to continue to do this even after my first 30 days to kind of pop in and show people, this is what I'm doing. I'm uncomfortable. I'm scared, but I'm going to do it. Right. And to help motivate others. But in turn, it's really motivating me, because just the other day I started watching someone and I was like, oh, wow, I did do that. Right. And then seeing what success comes out of it so I can rinse and repeat.
Come on, rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat success.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So online, you're on Instagram. You are known as Ashley, the SEO strategist.
Yes.
For those of us that aren't familiar,
Mm-hmm.
can you help explain why SEO and how you decided that to be your moniker?
Yes. So it came from my first baby, JTR Beauty.
Okay.
I remember those lashes, girl, right? So fast forward, we got her online. We added products, right? I went through this COVID pregnancy, lost hair, postpartum hair loss. I started making hair products for that. And the sales weren't coming in like I thought. And I was like, I'm showing up on social media as much as I could, right, with a newborn. And I even went as far as having an in-person boutique. I wasn't happy with the situation, and savings was kind of
dwindling.
But I knew I had to make something change, right? I was praying. I was like, I need a job in business so I can learn. And I like marketing, right? I have a degree in business. I was like, okay, let me just do it. Let me put myself out there. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. Landed a job in the digital marketing space. And they were like, okay, do you understand this and that? And I was researching it, a lot of information out there. And I was given that opportunity. And I was really blessed and honored to have this opportunity to get training. And as I was there during these last few years, I learned a lot. And I realized that there's a lot of digital marketers out here. There are a lot of digital marketers that specialize in certain things, right? And so the firm that I worked in, they specialize in SEO writing. And so once I realized, I was like, this is a special sauce that a lot of these, and for me, I come from the beauty space, right? So I was like, this is a special sauce that a lot of the beauty professionals and beauty women who are making their products and are online and paying all this money on ads, this is what they're missing, right? They don't know that they have to connect to let Google know that, hey, I'm online. Have to index myself. I have to have certain phrases that people are searching so I can show up, right? We want to name things really fancy, but then in our description, we're missing what it is. Right? So if I'm naming my oil something really fancy, like next level oil, what is my next level? What is it? Right. What does it provide? What is the person who needs it searching to find it? And then things started clicking. And we had a lot of different clients. I'm a people person, so I grew a lot, had a lot of different relationships. And I noticed that there were certain people that they really were just seeking guidance, right? They couldn't afford the big budgets. They were seeking guidance. They wanted to understand so they can make a few changes in their business so that way they can afford the bigger budget. And I was like, this is where I need to be. I love teaching. I love soaking it in and then being able to provide it in a more realistic way, right? Giving examples and making sure that people feel confident, not small, right? And so that is what I really drove me into it. And then I was like, oh, if the women and if the businesses and these spas and these cafes, because I'm a cafe chai latte girl, I like to sit in a cafe and get my work done. But I'm like, if more people knew how to utilize and how to work the online space with Google, they will see organic traffic, right? Free traffic. So that way when they decide to go and pay for things, they already have this traffic, so now we can retarget those. Okay. Right? And so that's kind of where it all started. And then I was like, okay, I know I did this for my business, but I actually did this for somebody bigger than just me. And that's how my journey. And I had my first client in May of last year that was on my own, separate from everybody. And I knew that search engine optimization is not the end all be all, but it is I feel is a glue that sticks all your other marketing together. So I feel like I was creating my own lane and I didn't even realize it. Something more tailored approach, right? Things that, okay, this quarter, I want to focus on this part of my marketing, right? I want to incorporate these. I want to do, and breaking it up so that way people can see those small wins. Yeah. Get the traffic going. Measure, right? Marketing is measuring and adjusting, So, but you got to start measuring first. Yeah. Right. And so being able to teach, because I'm a firm believer that if somebody is educated, they can make educational decisions. And if it leads back to me, that's good. But even so, I made that person more confident in what they're doing. Right. And so that's kind of how that journey started. Yeah. And then it just unfolded from there.
That is so awesome. And I thank you for the teach. You said something in this last piece. You said, if you learn, you can then make educational decisions.
Yes.
Based in logic and based in fact versus just kind of throwing stuff out there. Let me see if this works.
Yeah.
And so many of us do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then get disappointed and discouraged when your efforts aren't being met by results of any kind.
Yes.
And so I think it's so important that we do investigate our fields, that we're not just, we don't go in ignorant with the only thing was a dream. The dream is great.
Yeah.
But then how are you going to help people? Yeah. And I have been challenged the same thing with this podcast. You know, I believe it was a God assignment. And my mother, God bless her, she is my silent, not so silent business partner. And she's always asking, well, what are you doing? How are you getting the word out? Mama, I don't know. I know how to make the content. I don't know how to, the second piece. Yeah. And so thank you, right, for the service that you're giving to women to help empower them to make educated decisions for themselves and for their brands and brand. So we're not just on the hamster wheel throwing good after bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then once you know that and you're like, okay, you can see what's working. And people are surprised at what they've been doing. Like, oh, this part is actually working. Let me double down on that. Or this part, I thought I was putting all my eggs in this basket and it's not working out. Then why am I wasting my time on there? Let me move it over here, right? And that comes from me loving to receive education too. So that way I can continue to educate. Yeah. Because there's always somebody that's going to be in front of me and there's always going to be somebody that's behind me that I can help pull up, you know?
She better come through with the word. I want to know, sharing your story comes with some risk.
Yes.
Of exposing yourself, of exposing your story and your journey. How have you gone about cultivating your community? Have you been intentional or have things just kind of...
So in my mind, I think I'm trying to be intentional.
Okay.
But through me just kind of, again, doing that uncomfortable, being in the season of uncomfortable, being vulnerable, I'm able to take in and then see like, okay, I've done it. I feel like this is it. Let me go this way for a little bit and see. Let me see what can be transparent back and forth. And then organically is being able to grow, right? And then also having these beautiful women in my corner, right? Whether they just know me this year, being able to give me valuable insight. I've had so many mini coaching sessions. I'm like, you have been amazing, right? Because just as I then coach others, you still need to be coached. And also getting out of my comfort zone because I know how to speak to maybe a certain group of women. But one person told me, she was like, girl, you're speaking to the same person. They're just not here yet. You're speaking to her. You're speaking to the present person, but not the future person. Now you speak to her as if she's already there. And when you speak to her as if she's already there, she's going to climb that ladder to get there. And I was like, wow, I didn't think of that like that.
Yeah.
Right. And so by doing that and actively doing it right now, right, I'm learning that my community is being built. And it's cool. I like it. And I like to see those that have been from the beginning and those that have known me from my other business endeavors be like, Ashley, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. Like I see you doing your thing. Right. And then them being able to pour back into me. And so it's been good. Excellent.
So if there's an entrepreneur woman watching, and I would love to ask in this final section, what's the best piece of advice you've received and the best piece of advice that you have given?
The best piece of advice that I've received, I know when I say it, people are like, oh, well, I've heard it, but to actually believe it and do, the best piece of advice is that you are more capable than you believe. Right? And it seems maybe cliche, but if you really think about it, do you really believe that you are capable to do X, right? Do you believe it without a doubt that this is going to happen? This is meant for you to do, right? And so that's the best piece of advice that I've chosen to accept. So the best piece of advice, I would say, to do it and know that you're going to learn along the way. Be okay to fail at something so that way you can learn lessons from it. Right?
Oh,
yeah. Because that's what I actually have to do myself too. So I'm like, let's do it together, girl.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all, this is not the first time that you will see Ashley on the podcast. I am looking forward to growing in friendship and in relationship. She has gone a journey that she already at another point. I'm just at the beginning looking like, she all the way around the track. Okay, hold on, here I come. So I look forward to growing in relationship and friendship with you. I have a final segment.
Okay.
The final segment is all about your journey ahead. And so as a visionary, as someone who dreams big dreams for you and for your family, I would love to know your hopes. Would you dare share your prayer for yourself, for your family, for your businesses over the next 5 years?
Really where I see myself is wherever God wants me to be. Mm-hmm. And so in order for me to get there, I have to release the fear that's holding me back, right? And also know that every move that I make, whether good or bad, is going to lead me to the outcome as long as I stay on the course. So that's what it is. And also to be an example for my family and to be an example that if I'm not here anymore, I know that people be like, that girl Ashley, she was really that girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she really did her thing and she helped me in XYZ, right? And so that's where I see just really amplifying what I'm doing now and just bringing it to another level that sometimes a little bit scary to look forward and to look ahead. But I know if I stay the course, it's going to happen. So this times 100. Right? Being able to do what I do on a grander scale, being able to help others on a grander scale, and maybe one day being on a stage teaching not just 50 women, but maybe 150 women, 200 women, right? Thousands of women, and being able to give that impact in some way.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when she's doing her TED Talk and she is speaking from the podium, giving highlights and keynote addresses, just remember she spoke it here first.
Yep, that's right.
Thank you, Ashley, again for being a guest. Please let folks know where they can get in touch with you for your services, for your training, for your consultation.
Okay, perfect. Well, I first want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here and to offer this opportunity. It allowed for me to reflect on my own business, right? And to pause and amplify my business and my journey, just like I do for others. So I want to say thank you so much. It's been so, amazing. Just waiting up to the day. I'm like, oh, okay, this is happening, right? And this was part of my journal. So I can write my date today and be like, I accomplished this. And I did it with another Ashley. So what's the best way? I mean, come on. So I just want to say that. So you are definitely a part of the journey and the joy on my journey, right? So I appreciate it so much. So like she said earlier, you can find me on social media, on Instagram at Ashley, the SEO strategist, where I share my journey, I share my highlights, I share information, right? I share what I'm doing next, the communities that I'm attending. And if you need to slide in my DMs, I do respond, right? I am your SEO bestie. And so I want to be able to help you on your journey, wherever that might be. And also on my website, it is SEO digital marketing.online. So exactly what I do. That's the website name. And from there you can be able to find me. Also emails as let's talk SDM at SEO digital marketing.online.
Excellent. And we'll make sure all of that is in the description, and she does respond to the DMs because hello. But again, please subscribe, please share, and please take the victories, no matter how small or how large. Know that you have accomplished something because you at least tried. Please like and share. If you have other takeaways that Ashley has shared with you that has impacted your journey as an entrepreneur, as a mom, please let her know. Let her know what she said that has touched you and inspired you, because I definitely have been changed. But until we meet again, every single Thursday, may God increase your joy, grant you strength for the journey, and give you the courage to tell your story. Bye, friends.